Welcome to New Gameplay. Today I'm Kyle Hilliard here with Wesley LeBlanc. What's up, Wes?
How's it going? I'm excited to check out this Resident Evil game I've never seen.
No, this isn't Resident Evil, but Resident Evil owes a lot to this game, technically. Not this one in particular, but this is Alone in the Dark, the 2024 game that's coming out.
Okay.
Let's see. I have the date in front of me. It's coming out March 20th. It was recently delayed. I think it was supposed to come out in... It was actually supposed to come out in 2023 at one point, and then it was January 2024, and then it got pushed back again recently to March.
Okay, so still soon, though.
Yeah, still pretty soon. And
Is it dead?
yeah, so it does look a lot like Resident Evil, specifically the recent over-the-shoulder remakes, like 2 and 3, and I guess you could throw 4 in there as well, of course.
Yeah.
But which is so
I can't go
funny.
that way.
It's very Ouroboros, like snake eating its own tail, because
This can't be.
Alone in the Dark predated the original Resident Evil, the first Alone in the Dark, and it was like one of, if not the first game to have like the pre-rendered backgrounds with isometric camera angles, where you had tank controls and you were exploring a mansion. You were exploring a scary mansion and solving puzzles and stuff like that. It's not... I mean, Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil, fully looked at Alone in the Dark and kind of said, like, we could do this but better, and did, ultimately. I mean, if we're being honest,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a
I'm
reason...
very familiar with Resident Evil. I am not very familiar with Alone in the Dark.
Yeah. And I am somewhat in the same boat. I've always been fully aware of that relationship. You know, that Alone in the Dark, it was important to the legacy of Resident Evil in a strange way. But I never played the original. I've never played any of the sequels, with the exception of the... Gosh, is it 2005? Does that sound right? Or 2004? Gosh, what was that? What was that game? Let me see. Anyway, there was one on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 that I have quite a bit of affection for. It was 2008. I was way off.
It
Where
was a 2005 film, though, based on the games.
Right. I did not watch that movie. But the 2008 video game really, I like I said, I have a soft spot for that game. I have some affection for that game. It's not a particularly good video game in a weird way. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it, but it's one of those games that even at the time when I was playing it, I was like, man, they're really trying something here. Like, they're trying to do something different. It was kind of open world, and they had this whole like first person system where you arrange your inventory by looking in your jacket pockets and stuff like that. And even though it kind of didn't really come together, I still admired it. I was like, good on you, Alone in the Dark 2008, for really trying something different. So anyway, so that's sort of my history with Alone in the Dark, right? I played the 2008 game, and I've always known it was important. Are you kind of, like, you're even one step back from that, I guess, right? Of just being aware that it exists?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've heard the name before, but honestly, I think most of my like interest and information I've learned about this game series has happened because of this remake. Like, you know, covering news and stuff like, oh, they're doing a remake. Okay, let me look into the history real quick. Oh, wow, this is a very storied history and goes back even further than Resident Evil. But it's a series I'd missed, mostly because, I mean, even as a Resident Evil fan, I would say I'm like newer. I played the first Resident Evil the year before the 2 remake came out, and that was my first introduction to Resident Evil. And I've been slowly playing all of them. I just have 5 and 6 to do now, but I have played 7, Village.
The 2 best.
Yes,
the highlights.
I look online and it's like 35 hours, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to play this game. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
for 35 hours.
I've never made it through 6, which is telling.
Yeah, but I just think, like, you know, growing up, like, I guess just my parents weren't buying me survival horror games. Probably smart, to be honest. I got nightmares often as a child, so I don't blame them. But yeah, I'm playing a lot of catch up in the horror greats, as it were.
No, that's good. Yeah, and like, I've actually been kind of, frankly, excited for this remake because of all the things we're talking about, because of Alone in the Dark's sort of legacy. That it's like sort of underappreciated, you know. It's it's Player Unknown's Battlegrounds to Fortnite in a way, you know. It's and this remake is very, very different. I know you play as Edward Carnby. It's always been the protagonist many times. He's in the game. He is performed, of course, by the actor from Stranger Things.
Hopper? That guy?
Yes.
David
that's
Harbour.
not his, David Harbour. Yes.
Performed
Which
by
actually
Hopper
is kind of
from
close to
Stranger
Hopper. That's right. Yeah. And Jodie Comer, who I've chose to play as. It's a dual protagonist. You can choose who you play as, and the stories kind of go side by side, Resident Evil 2 style. And Jodie Comer is she was in that Ryan Reynolds film recently where she plays the video game character. And she's in,
Free Guy or whatever.
Killing Eve. Yeah, I like Jodie Comer a lot. She's always fun. So I was excited to sort of pick her to play as, even though I like David Harbour as well. But you know, I sort of lost my tangent that I was going on. But like this is a lot different. I think it loosely follows the story of the original, but like you are exploring a mansion. But like as is the case here, I'm actually. Something happened. I was like exploring the mansion. Me and David Harbour were hanging out and having a good old time.
Yeah, of course.
And all of a sudden, like the world shifted, and I was on these city streets exploring this location. And Jodie Comer's character was very much like, "What is happening?" Like she was very confused in a way that it was cool. Like I like the sort of playing with your sort of perception and where you're going, and like all of a sudden you're in a different place. Like it's very good stuff, for lack of a better term, for survival horror in this kind of setting. It's like, yeah, we're going to throw you around. Like it was weird because the house is more exploratory and like looking around, and then those sequences, it seems like where you're going to be suddenly in a new place and confused about what's going on. Those are a little more actiony. That's where you're firing your gun a little more and swinging an axe and stuff like that. At least that's my perception of playing. I don't know, about the first hour, give or take, of the game. That could shift as the game changes and stuff like that. But hey, look, there's David Harbour.
Comer and David Harbour. Yeah,
that's them. Yeah, and this
so
takes place.
It
takes place.
Is like a different time period. I'm guessing not modern.
Yes.
Okay.
No, definitely not modern. I'm looking. I have the game's like Wikipedia page pulled up because I'm curious if they have the year.
I'm gonna guess
that
like
it takes place.
1927. In that David Harbour's character probably says like whippersnapper a lot.
Yes, yeah, they definitely have that kind of dialogue for sure.
Transatlantic accents.
Yep. That's there, which is kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't play a lot of games in that sort of setting.
Honestly,
you know?
like just looking at this, because this is my first time looking at the remake, and maybe this is like shame on me, Resident Evil fans, but like I'm immediately more interested in this than like replaying the first Resident Evil. I think this is. I like this time period as like a horror setting, and I don't know. This kind of looks like New Orleans, maybe, or something. Maybe it's trying to
the city
be like
I was
New
in.
Orleans.
Do I like New Orleans?
Oh,
I
no.
mean,
I'm saying, is
sure.
it like New Orleans?
Oh, is it like
That
New Orleans? I
city.
thought you were asking me like
No,
on a personal level.
Also, do you like it? Yeah, Kyle, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I love Infamous 2, right? That's a great game. And other games that take place in New Orleans. Mafia 3? Is that another one?
Yeah.
I've never been to New Orleans.
Red
so
Dead Redemption
that's
2
my
has their fake New Orleans, but still.
There you
cool.
go. Yeah. I don't think the mansion, because I'm back in mansion exploring mode.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in New Orleans, but that section of the game where I got pulled into another world, that felt very New Orleans-esque.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this looks cool. Like I'm digging the vibes a lot of the setting and time.
It has. I will say it has, and this is. I mean, I guess this will come off as negative, but I mean, it does have a bit of like a double A feeling to it, if that makes sense. It's there's like some budgetary restrictions here and there, and like there's like a little bit of looseness to the controls that I don't love and things like that. But like,
yeah.
I am sort of engaged early on, I could attribute it maybe to like me wanting to know more about Alone in the Dark. I've always wanted kind of an excuse to play those games, and maybe that's like pulling me along quite a bit.
I feel like horror
I-
kind of gets a pass. Maybe isn't the right word, but like like even in movies, I'm okay with horror being a little more like double A or like lower budget or more
Yeah.
schlocky. Like it kind of fits the vibe of what horror is like in different ways.
It's especially in video games. It's more mood. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like this game has good mood. I don't share this full conversation. I cut us away from meeting this character, but I did want to show her just to kind of
You're right.
show, give you a sense of the vibe of the kind of characters you're running into in this mansion. You know,
Yeah, of course, that's Emily
Ruth
Hartwood.
Tallard. No, yeah, I'm Emily. That's Jodie Comer.
Oh.
This is Ruth.
Yeah,
in
I
a
was
green
just saying.
dress.
Yeah, I was just naming your character in case people forgot.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is coming up here. I believe it's right here. This is like a moment that I kind of like in horror games. That Alone in the Dark seems to be doing well so far,
yes.
right? Where it's
Yeah.
like reality is shifting, and your character is just like I don't know what's going on. Why is this suddenly happening? What does it mean? And that's cool. Like I like this kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that Resident Evil doesn't really do, frankly. You know, you're not really shifting reality in Resident Evil. Resident Evil, despite sort of its absurdity, is fairly grounded. Like it does have an established sort of fiction and world.
Yeah, like it's all happening because of like a virus and stuff. Like there's not really much paranormal happening in the world of Resident Evil.
Yeah, where this is like unexplained, weird, mystical stuff is happening, and you're not sure why. And that is a fun position to be in a video game. For me, I like feeling that way in a video game.
I want someone to make a horror game where the character reacts hyper realistically, because if I went to like pull a doorknob and then all of a sudden I'm in a burning room with crows, I'm not moving. I'm terrified. I'm probably peeing myself. Like there's a lot going on, and horror games never show that. Give me the real horror protagonist.
Yeah, Emily is very confident. She's just like, huh. Why this room looks different now?
A little hot in
what's
here.
going on here?
Oh, this is cool. This reminds me of I have Batman on the brain because I've been thinking about replaying Arkham, but it reminds me of Poison Ivy's botany area in the
Is
asylum.
that like a disease? Is that a disease that's like infecting the industry? Because I've been replaying Arkham City and Night, and like I feel like I guess it's probably Suicide Squad on the horizon. But yeah, no. But this is Alone in the Dark. We're not here to talk about Batman.
No, forget Batman. Batman would not do well in a situation like this, of course.
Batman, actually, he would be. Arkham Asylum is basically
it's
this.
just this. Yeah.
Like, this woman's burying a dead cat. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Who knows what's happening there?
It's a little cigar break.
What are you doing, sneaky?
That's right. Yeah, Emily like smokes all the time, which is another like very much of the era. She's like smoking indoors and taking cigarette breaks all the time. It's like if she lived in the modern age, we'd be like, you should quit.
Yeah,
Emily.
go
is
outside,
getting
please.
Yeah, and then also just stop smoking.
Yeah,
Is what we would say.
Yeah, turns out it's bad for you. You'll find out
Yeah.
in like 20 years.
Exactly. But I just wanted to show off some of the gameplay, right? Like I just wanted to show what the game is, and frankly share some tentative excitement for it. It's always tough, like I said, with I don't know. I feel like I don't love the term like double A, but there's definitely like a feeling of games like that, and they can go either way. It's a bummer because there's like it's a very they are very on the fence in that way, and that like they can fall one way where it's like you just love it and accept it for all its quirks and strangeness, and it really sings for you, and it becomes like these games that become especially special to you.
Yeah.
But they can also fall the other way where there's just shortcomings that you can't get over, and I don't know which way Alone in the Dark is going to fall. Like I'm not sure. I'm not going to make that call after only playing like an hour or so. But I mean, there's a lot of things that I have been enjoying about it, right? Like I like exploring. I like they've requested in exchange for us being able to showcase the game like this that I not show explicit solutions. So you'll see some cutting here for solving a puzzle. But I like solving weird little puzzles, and then I like being sort of inexplicably thrown into like bizarre new areas without understanding what's going on. Like all that stuff is so far is working for me, and I'm